and you're good to go.
All right, thank you. I have two screens here, so it's a little bit hard for me to focus which screen. All right, so I hope you have a good few days so far. Again, oops, sorry, too fast. All right, today I'm going to present sort of interdisciplinary research between social scientists and engineering work. And this is a very unique component current. But if you pay more attention, more and more engineers are working with social scientists and to tackle some of the social issues related to energy. So I'm going to structure, there's a lot of information I'm going to present today, but I'm going to stop at each kind of topic. And so you don't fall asleep or you just get lost. So, all right, so the main focus is social psychological factors. What are the social psychological factors I will explain. And I also focus on energy justice, the energy impact on low-income household. So today I'm going to talk about energy efficiency, technology adoption. Of course, if we have this nice technologies and nobody want to adapt, then that's no use. So I especially interested in factor influence adoption and looking at demographics, social psychological factors beyond just technology. So we also have a lot of technologies available. However, low-income households are the vulnerable populations. They don't get to enjoy a lot of technologies. The related to energy efficiency is the behavior change. How do we ask people to change behavior? This is very difficult. People have doing research like many, many years. We still don't have the best answers. So, all right, so what is interdisciplinary research? There's many, many terms, like three basic terms: interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary. So according to the definitions, that transdisciplinary seems to be really joined together, integrated together between disciplines. Interdisciplinary, the definition is just, hey, we work together, but the methodology-wise, it's not really integrated together. So why this is important for you or for a lot of researchers, because we want to create a better solution to begin with, and to create a synthesized mind from different components and give different disciplines and methodology-wise. And so then we can have a broader understanding of our technology issues or social issues. And in education-wise, we hope that we teach students to have a little bit broader understanding of all these energy issues or other issues than just focus on the technical details. So this is the purpose of a interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary research. The importance for researchers and then also for students. So the whole kind of major research project here is at current, we do energy inequality and justice, like I said, focus on low incomes. We also want to dig in what are the barriers for people to change behaviors, energy savings, technology adoptance, renewable energy acceptance, and demand response. I will explain more. And all of this, in the end, we want to analyze how people make decisions. So theoretically, we would like to know the decision-making process. So this is kind of overview of our research here at current. In terms of social scientists, what do we do? All these energy issues. Of course, in the end, we want to answer or solve climate change issues. So for social scientists, we come up with theoretical framework, the data collection from human subjects. It may not be technical perspective, but more and more social scientists are working with engineers trying to integrate these two disciplines, two big disciplines, and then come up with, like I say, solutions or answer people's, behaviors. So 3 basic research questions we often ask in our research. What are the factors? I mentioned this a lot. What are the factors affect energy use? How do we reduce energy consumption to combat the climate change issues? How do we change people's behavior over time? Notice this is over time. One time or short term is easier, but over time is very difficult. So there are three big blocks of analysis in my research. One is energy habits. Do you have the habits of turn off the lights? Or do you have the habits of, just leave lights on, or you don't even care about your monthly bill? So that is kind of daily habits. And demographics influence people's perception and behavior, especially more and more research done on political orientation and related to climate change issues. And where you live, or even, for example, Tennessee State has very cheap electricity price. That could be one of the factors of why we consume more energy, in addition to weather issues. What are the social psychological factors? So we analyze that. Do you feel like you have this thermal comfort needs? Like you really need comfort or convenience, and so then you will need higher thermal comfort, and that lead to more energy consumption. Or people may concern environment or this energy issues, so they use less energies. So this is all in people's mindset, and whether they trust utility company, whether concern privacy issues from the smart meter data, and also social norm, meaning that their friends and families influence on people's individuals' behaviors. And perceived behavior control is very social psychological factors. Like if you believe you can do it, you can, most likely people will perform their actions. For example, if I believe I can lose weight, so I probably most likely would do that. So that's also psychological factors. And so this is a basic kind of block of the variables we are looking at in a lot of researchers. So next I'm going to present one of the results. I work with a European team on electric vehicle adoptions and looking at multi-factors. So electric vehicles, we all know that has different type of electric vehicles, but for the simple purpose, I'm going to just say electric vehicles in this talk. So electric vehicles have been taking off since 2000 or earlier. And then China now is one of the biggest market in electric vehicle adoptions. So you can see this information is a little bit old, but still pretty relevant. And Nordic countries has a lot of electric vehicles adoption right now. So the percentage of electric vehicle between 2017 and 2018, you can see China has been increased so much, like 83%. And then Germany, Canada, France, Norway, all these countries have a significant increase in terms of EV population growth. And so we are interested in looking at multi-fast factors influence EV adoption. So there's the demographics factors, the situation factor, for example, the driving range, the charging issues, the front-end cost, the environmental issues, policy, do you have a good incentive program to encourage people to adopt, and tax rebate, and also do you have a free parking? Like for example, in downtown Market Square, the parking lot has EV drivers special parking. So that might encourage people to adopt. And psychological factors is more complex. Like, so do you think having an EV is a convenient thing or not convenient? Are you willing to sacrifice this inconvenience, such as finding a charging station versus saving the environment? So which one is more important to individuals? So we look at the, like, this sustainability belief, and then also the emotion, the attitudes and experience. If you have friends or your personal experience with EV, you are most likely to adopt. So we actually already published this article this year, and this is a collaboration with Denmark and UK, and looking at 6,000, almost 6,000 participant survey interviews, and plus the fake the fake interview, like going to car dealership and pretending they want to buy EVs, and they found out that most car dealers don't want you to buy EVs because they don't get a lot of incentives. So there's a lot of interesting study yeah, among this big project. And then we also look at V2G, vehicle to grid. And so this is what people's perception about V2G, and do they think about important or not. So in this talk, I'm going to focus on what are the important demographic factors, what are the financial attributes and mobility patterns, meaning what are the people's driving behaviors influence EV adoptions, what are the specific electric mobility attribute meaning the characteristic of the technology influence EV adoption, and what kind of preference people are interested in terms of previous EV adopters, current EV adopters, and also the conventional fuel vehicle owners. So what are the differences among these three groups? So is there any carryover effect from conventional EV to electric mobility attribute in terms of influence EV adoptions? And also, do you think that people's daily belief, like sustainability behavior, will spill over meaning that one affect the other and then influence EV's adoption? So we do, this is analysis on almost 6,000 survey participants and looking at all the different factors. So I group demographics, technical factors like traditional vehicle and electric vehicle characteristic. For example, is charging a variable, driving range. Do you have an anxiety for driving range? And charging time, is this important to the customers? What is the battery life? Is this important to the customer? And then V2G, vehicle to G, the capability of doing that. And there's economic factors, behavior factors, whether you have a driving experiences, how many years you drive, how often you drive, and then sustainability beliefs. All of this, I put it together in a statistical analysis, and we do step by step. We call hierarchical regression analysis. I won't go into the details here, but when you look at the demographics, all these red colors, red highlights are the significant factors, meaning that high income people, male, younger people have more children, we don't know why, are more likely to adopt EVs. And then among these 5 countries, Iceland are the probably most significant group to adopt EVs. And I won't go through the detail. I want to highlight 2 important factors here among all the factors, putting everything together. Look at this environmental value. It's still one of the most significant values. And then fewer economics, like whether electric vehicle can save money, is very important. So it's kind of like both group, people who have environmental concern plus people want to save money, they are most likely to adopt. So in conclusion, there's obviously a carryover effect from the traditional vehicle. People still care about, for example, whether it can save money, and whether the car is easy to operate, and whether the electric vehicle is technical reliability. All these are just the same like traditional vehicles. So we say there's a carryover effect from traditional vehicle to the EV adoptions. And then adding the V2G capability increase the adoption. So some people do think this is important to them to adopt. And then charging time and EV adoption interest is negative. So meaning that, the longer charging time, the less people are willing to adopt the EVs. So battery life, driving range, or how many cars they have, a vehicle, like speed and design did not matter, the EV adoptions. And spillover effect, meaning that renewable energy, sustainability belief, such as recycling, eating less meat, or more local, eating more local products, this poor environmental value influence people's EV adoptions. All right, I'm going to stop here. Any questions so far? Is this easy to understand?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I never really thought about all these social factors.
Yes.
So yeah. So just to highlight, so I think it was, I don't know, that third slide back there. So basically, the most people likely to buy EVs from your study was like younger, wealthy males, basically.
Yes. So female, this is a very interesting, according to history, actually EV was designed for females because EV is cleaner. There's no gas and dirtiness. So EV actually in the beginning was designed for females, but for some reason, this become a male dominant things now. And so, and obviously people still associate EV as some kind of higher income. Like for example, people still associate with Tesla. So they think that, oh, I can't afford Tesla, but without knowing that, hey, Nissan has a cheaper options, right? So yeah, so this is a very multi-fast factor influence EV adoption than just technical or money. So yeah, good questions. So we also find the solar panel renewable, if you install solar panels, they are most likely to adopt EV. So this is all connected to renewable energies. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, so I can send this article if you are interested. Reading is already published in Renewable Energy and Sustainability Energy Reviews. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Thanks. Any other questions? Yeah, so for people who design EVs or technology, you can think about similar. It doesn't need to be EV. Like you can use this kind of factor to explain other technology adoptions. We just change the different components of technical factors or economic factors.
I think this has some pretty big applications for like, you know, executives of, you know, manufacturers for electric vehicles. Cause, you know, if they took this, I'm sure they do, but, you know, this would be really important information when they're designing, and especially with cost, and, you know, they need to cater to their audience or consumer.
Yes, and I'm actually involved with Drive EV in Tennessee, and so right now we have working group, and then basically, you know, looking at all kind of factors, trying to encourage people to adopt EVs. And then, but I personally think the charging station probably is one of the biggest factors. So far, still not enough charging stations.
Right, because if I like bought a Tesla today, so if I lived in a town that doesn't have a charger, doesn't that mean, so I have to, from what I've seen on YouTube and stuff, I think you have to, I don't know if you have to call the power company or what, but you have to have a special outlet put in your garage, right, to charge?
Not really. I can charge. I have an EV. I charge at home. It's just very slow. It's all night charge. You can actually charge at home. It's just very slow, and it also costs a little bit money. Yes.
For continuously fueled vehicles, I was reading there are some 250,000 filling stations in the country. So it's very much an economy of scale problem.
I see. Yeah. So yeah. So this is interesting to think about. I'm going to move on to my next section of the talk. Okay, next I'm going to talk about smart home management system. How can we incorporate social factor and culture factors in this sort of smart home management system? Is actually going to implement it in the future. But right now, Japan has a big push promoting smart home management system. So basically, it's a sort of a little device or home energy system to manage your home, like all the appliances. And then also some people think this can even connect to solar panels and EV charging, and then to automatically manage your energy system. Of course, I think the criteria would be smart appliances. So you can see the problem here that the low-income people are not going to adopt this because lack of money, lack of the authority to change appliances. Most of them are renters. So there's a lot of social issues among this technology. However, some of the governments are doing home management system, smart home for low-income households. So there's a hope for any populations here if we are willing to pay attention. So my team actually do this big study among 2,500 people. Half the participant from New York City and half participant from Tokyo City. When I say city, is the Tokyo area, New York areas. So we want to find out what are the factors influence people are willing to adopt this technology and also willing to pay for it. What kind of attitude and social psychological factors influence these adoptions? So again, this article just accepted like last week, so I'm happy to share all of you if you are interested. So social scientists like to come up with a theoretical framework because we don't just write surveys like, hey, are you going to adopt or not? There's always the theoretical framework first, and then we based on the theory and to write survey question. For example, we look at this two theory. You don't need to know the details, but just that you know that there's a theory about technology acceptance model and how useful this technology. Very easy to understand how easy to use this technology. And there's another theory, very famous, theory of predictive behavior in psychology. This theory was used in health, exercise, renewable energy, all kind of behaviors is related to, has been explained by this theory. So 3 main components: attitude. Do you think this is a good thing or not? Social norms, your friends and family's attitude and behaviors. Perceived behavior control, whether you believe you can change. So this is 3 main factors. And we look at the demographics. We also look at individual differences. For example, do you concern cost? Obviously, new technology related to cost, we cannot ignore this factor. Do you trust utility companies about using automation to control your appliances to save money? There's a trust there. And then also dependency concern. Some people might think that, oh, I use this automation, I'm going to depend on technology too much. So there's a concern there. And for American audience, this control issue is very important. Americans tend not want to have control from government or utility companies. It seems like the big brother is watching them. So this is control issue is more like a cultural factor. And the energy uses habits, like, do you use a lot of appliances? And there's a cultural difference as well. So we found that Tokyo and New York differences, like, hey, for the majority of people say, yes, the likely I will use HAM's smart home management system in the future. Most people will say, yeah, it's a good thing. I would likely do that. However, when we ask, are you willing to pay for the services? So see, many people are unwilling to accept, pay for it. So about 35% or 33% people are not willing to pay anything. So even just like $1, so there's only about 12%, 11 to 12%. Tokyo and New York people are pretty similar. New York population probably pay a little bit more. willing to pay a little bit more. But I mean, in general, people still are not willing to pay for it. So one thing about willing to adapt, yes, this is a good technology. The other thing is, are you willing to pay for it? So that's why we want to measure these two different concepts, although they are related. If people are willing to pay for it, they are mostly, of course, likely to adapt. So we look at our, again, this is a lot of statistical analysis, and we find out that there's a little bit cultural differences between New York and Tokyo. And so this article, I say when East meet West, because there's a cultural difference between East culture and then also Western cultures. So there's attitude toward hams and social norms are all important for both countries. And then cost concern. The more people concerned about cost, they are not going to adapt for these two countries. However, for perceived usefulness, it's more important for Tokyo. While demographics, this I want to point out, trust is more important to New York residents than Tokyo. I mean, in general, typically, Japanese are more likely to trust their organizations. So this doesn't affect their adoptions. But New York audience, residents, trust become a very important factors, and also dependency concern. New York residents are concerned about how much they are going to depend on this technology. This is all a lot of belief in people's, psychological factors influence their, adoption of technologies. So this can provide policy implications or design for technology. That's why we're looking at the social psychological factor and then also economics factor as well. All right, any quick question before I move on?
Just a comment. So that graph back there with the bar chart, that's crazy. 1 cent. Like, is that a monthly bill? Like people like.
Yeah, monthly. Not 1 cent, $1 between $1, about $1, like 0.99 cents. Right.
But
so
makes you wonder if, it's just maybe a psychological thing, because at that point it's not even like 1 cent. That's like nothing.
Yeah, this is a monthly. Yeah, it's all psychological. But you will be surprised. Like, for example, sometimes you ask people to donate $5. $5 is nothing, but some people are just not willing to do it. As long as so this is has a lot of psychological component in it.
I guess also depends on your income, because I guess $5 to one person has a different value than to someone else, I guess.
Yes, but however, this survey is sent to people who own home, because we know that people, if you don't own a home, then you are less likely to change your household appliances. So this is the people who has at least some money. They are not like real poor.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. You guys can stop me anytime. All right. Next, I'm going to move on to demand response. So demand response is more related to power system researchers. So this demand response is related to power grid energy consumption, basically. So demand responses are utility companies to design some kind of program to reduce energy consumption during the peak hours. Key is the peak hours. And then, so there's several different kind of programs, very complicated. So the purpose is lower energy cost. So if we can reduce our peak hours, maybe we can reduce the chances to build up more power plants. I mean, talking about large scale, this is not just you or me save energy or during the peak hours, and then improve grid reliability if there's a big jump, during the peak hours or high peak and then reduce to a lower peak or off peak. That's not going to improve grid reliability. So, and then also related to renewable energy penetration as well. So utility company use time of use, like different time have a different price. So, But in Tennessee, we don't have that. So it depends on the city. It depends on the state. So the goal is to shift energy usage to off-peak hours. Doesn't mean total saving the energy. It's shifting the energy consumption during peak hours. So what we are interested, again, so what are the social psychological factors? And what kind of incentive will encourage people to shift? That's energy adoptions. Not energy adoption, the energy consumption shifting behaviors. And what kind of differences among demographic groups? And specifically, we are looking at what kind of habits, what kind of demographics variables, social psychological factors. And again, this is going to be the same for anybody. So we looking at group comparison, like we look at people who own homes or not own homes, all kind of demographics, and then other factors. All right, so this is a very complicated demand response. There are many kinds. So we look at 4 types of demand response program. For example, having utility company to install automatic switchers to schedule your AC cycling, and then also respond to demand response alerts, like manually adjust AC or automatically adjust your AC, like, hey, this is a cheaper price, maybe you can adjust your AC, that kind of thing. And then we want to look at 2 sort of approach. One is giving people $30 to do this incentive, to do this demand response program. The other one is giving people override choice, like, hey, you can decide whether you want to participate or not. And so we look at about 1,500 participants from 4 states, California, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. We want to get variety of different states, and we have representative population from each state in terms of gender, income, and necessity. By the way, I also published this article. So we also look at 3 different income levels: low income, medium income, and high income, to compare the differences. All right, so this, again, we use theory of predictive behavior, but we added in additional factors here. For example, thermal comfort. This AC has to do with people's thermal comfort need, and then their energy saving habits, and then cost and environmental concerns. So we look at all these factors in our survey and statistical analysis. So we break down 5 types of people. So first type is called early adopters, meaning that, hey, you don't need to tell them any incentive program. They just say, I want to accept because I want to save energy, or I want to shift, this energy, I want to save money, so I don't pay peak hours price. So early adopters, they don't need any incentives. The other type is non-distinguisher converters, meaning that when we say, I'll give you $30, they will accept demand response. And however, we say, okay, how about we give you override options? They also accept. So they don't know what they want. They want both. The money motivator is, first of all, they say they don't want to accept. Then we give them incentive. They say, I will accept incentive. So they are mostly pay attention to money. Control motivators, meaning that they say they don't want to accept, but when we say we give you override option, are you going to accept? So they accept this. So they want to control their appliances. And then straight non-acceptors, meaning that no matter what you give them, they don't want to accept DR. They don't care. So this is what we found. This is just a percentage-wise in terms of financial incentives and control. We found that most people say, again, I have to say there's an limitation about survey. This is what people think, but when they're actually doing it, of course, there's a gap. But we are comparing among this group. So there's still statistical logic to compare among groups even though this is just an online survey. But when you want to compare real life, of course, they may not want to adopt a DER because there are other logistics issues and then real life issues. All right, so most people say they will accept without any conditions. However, we found significant people, a lot of people, they will accept overrides. So meaning that they think override, this option is very important to them. So they will convert, they will say, I don't want to accept, but then when we override options, they tend to accept. So this is also psychological issue here. People want to control. A lot of people don't care about $30, but they want to control their appliances. They want to in control, especially on their appliances. We also look at the statistical analysis. This, you don't need to pay attention to all these details, but I just want to show you environmental concerns very important for the attitude toward the DR programs. So we put all the plugging all the factors into this we call structure equation modeling. And we also found that political orientation Democrats are more likely to concern environmental issues versus Republicans. All right, any questions before I jump into next topic? I have a lot of articles that you can read. All right, so next I'm going to move in more important issues. It's called energy justice. So you know, related to COVID-19, this has become a big issue right now. The COVID-19 impact low-income people the most. And because they have to stay at home, they cannot go to work, or they lost their job, and may not have heater at home, but they have to stay home. And they also cannot afford utility bills. So this is a complex issue, you know, impact on COVID-19, low-income household. But I have been doing this work before COVID-19, and recently I moved this overall research into related COVID-19. So 3 main issues I'm looking at for low-income household, whether they can afford the technologies. Second issue is, are these appliances, you know, apply to them? What kind of program, government program are supporting low-income households? And what are the social psychological factors, difference among income groups? And then thirdly, I'm looking at resiliency. Resiliency meaning that, for example, when hurricane hits or COVID-19 hits, this power overall structure going to help low income or impact them the most. All right, we use, oh yeah, go back to here. We use, for this previous project, we use like 4 different data sets to explain all of this. All right, one data set is by DOE, Residential Energy Consumption Survey. A lot of people, engineers, are analyzing this data set. This is a representative sampling about 5,600 households. And we divided low income, medium income, and high income, and based on household household size, whether they have children or not, their income level, and so it's pretty complex to begin with. And we look at the gender, age, education, and we also analyze appliances, whether they have space heating, air conditioning, all these appliances, smart grid technologies. Whether they know or have help from energy assistance program from the government. And we also look at their energy consumption data. All right, so just look that you see what we found. So low income household suffer a lot more in terms of this electricity, you know, appliances. For example, sorry, this is a little bit small. If you look at the little green bar, low income people have no sufficient heating or cooling almost all the time compared to other income groups. And you can, and sometimes they suffer because they often receive disconnected notice. And they sometimes have to keep the lights on, so they have to sacrifice their needs like medical expenses or food. I know we probably cannot imagine people have no lights on. I mean, in United States, because we are not like a third world country or something. But just that there are a lot of poor people out there that cannot afford utility bills. And then in terms of energy efficiency program, if you look at the participants' rates from low income, high income, and middle income, the low income people receive very low on everything. For example, the subsidized home energy audit, utility or energy supplies, rebate program, recycling or appliances, the tax credit. There's a lot of factors present this statistics, because I can just summarize low income, not just lower income, is because they are renter status. So they cannot change anything. And then it could be lack of knowledge as well. There's a lot of assistance programs, but very complicated on the application form. A lot of low income cannot even know how to search on the internet or even fill out the form on the internet, and they make it very complicated. So this is a lot of social issues here we can analyze more. But from the basic behavior, we can see the differences on thermal control strategies from low income, medium income, and high income. So the lower income people, the traditional, this is on the left-hand side is traditional thermostat. Low income people will leave set up one temperature and leave it there all the time. Versus higher income, they don't do this all the time. So what's the cost of doing this? Set one temperature, leave it all the time. You consume more energy. For example, you leave it on when you go out, or leave it the same temperature when you go to sleep. Of course, you are going to consume more energy. So we look at the traditional thermostat control, and then also the programmable. So for the programmable, it should be better because you just program. However, we found low income people still do that. They still set one temperature and leave it there all the time. Versus a higher income people, they know how to set different kind of temperatures throughout the day. So this tells us that lower income people are going to consume more energy in terms of per square footage. Of course, higher income have bigger house. The total energy consumption probably higher, most likely to be higher than low income. But per square footage, low income people are going to pay more in terms of the cost, in terms of this energy saving appliances. And then low income people don't have more advanced energy efficiency appliances. So we also look at the income renters, homeownership, put it all together, and then look at their temperature setting. So we found out that in the heating behaviors, low income people, their temperature tend to be higher than the higher income. So that means they don't consume energy as much as higher income. So so low income people tend to set their temperature higher, especially low income and renters. So it's kind of double barriers. You are not only low income, you are renters. So most people still set higher temperature. So they're going to pay more in terms of this heating and cooling. Cooling was all the same. We did cooling and heating behavior. All right, so next is how much low income, medium income, high income going to access to have access to smart grid technologies. So low income people have that smart meter, compared to other income groups. And they don't, it seems like they don't read smart meter data as much as higher income. Also, they have how much they view the smart meter data or how much they can get access to smart meter data. They are they have lower percentage. Do they have smart thermostat? They have less low-income people have less, smart thermostat, so they can save energy as faster. So that's implication about the smart grid technology is related to demand response program. So utility company tend to pay attention to medium income people. They don't care about higher income and low income people. But I cannot say all the utility companies. More and more utility companies are doing something good for the low income people. So from the data perspectives that we can find out that, all these disadvantages put low income people in a disadvantage, like cannot enjoy this demand response program, saving money, basically, utility bill during the peak hours or during the extreme events like heat wave or right now, COVID-19 situation is different. A lot of utility companies actually to stop this disconnected notice. So low-income people can still have the utilities. However, they still need to pay for it in the future. Any questions so far?
I'm curious, what did you set the bar? What did you set the boundaries for low income, middle income, and high income?
Yeah, so we look at the federal government's the poverty rate, the average income, and we also look at the poverty rate, and then we divide that from each individual household. We look at their household number, whether they have children or not. So divide that number, and so I think I have somewhere. Let's see.
I was just curious. I wonder how much that would shift depending on where you set those boundaries on the data and stuff.
Yes, of course. But because this is, this is complicated. So we did, I think I have somewhere. Yeah. So we have the federal government's income levels and then poverty rate as well. Poverty line, and so we divided that, and then also divided the household level. So yeah, I have somewhere specific.
That's fine. But
yeah. All right. So next, I'm going to talk about this. Another thing to continue on this. More and more demand response is the flexibilities in time schedule. When do we use different kind of appliances, and then what kind of activities throughout the day? And so if without this flexibility, low-income people are not going to enjoy demand response. Like, for example, you have to cook certain time, and you don't have flexibility to change your time schedule. Like we can work at home, but a lot of low-income people cannot work at home. So there's flexibility and time scheduling influence people's energy consumption. So we use American Time Use Survey. It's again, this is a national representative sampling. And we divided low-income, medium income, and high income again. And based on similar approach, based on the federal government's income rate and then also household size. And then we analyze 24 hours activity throughout the day and look at the low income, medium income, high income, and what they are doing during the day. So from the activity, we can infer that time frame people are most likely to use energy. So unfortunately, this data set doesn't have direct related to appliances. Only can tell us, oh, now it's cooking, now it's watching TV, now it's preparing food, doing laundry. So there's a rough kind of activities, but we can still look at the patterns. So you can see that. What did you see? Can you find out something? I already written something here.
Dinner times at 7:45.
Yes, the peak hours are different throughout the three groups. And did you notice high income people are mostly not at home during the day because they go to work. Again, this low income, not just, it could be senior citizen, it could be disabled people. So low income, we don't know who they are, but we know that they are lower income, so they stay home mostly. What else did you guys find?
To me, they look almost exactly the same. Like I'm having trouble telling the difference. I mean, a little bit, but they look very, very similar across the board to me.
Okay, so low income people watch a lot of TVs. Did you see that? They watch a lot of TVs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so watching TV apparently depends on what type of TV consumes some energies. Yeah, so this is just a infer from the activity. Some people use this kind of data to predict the electricity consumption because they also have EV energy charging behaviors too, because they also have traveling time. So that could be, so this data set a lot of engineers trying to use that predict people's activities from the 24 hours, and we analyze more demographics factors. So we at current we also conduct at current we also conduct a survey. This is related to that demand response. We look at the characteristics of low income, medium income, and high income. Who are they? What kind of characteristics are difference among these three groups? So we found low income people are lower education, lower social norms. For some reason, they think their friends and families' behavior don't influence them a lot. This is surprising. And then also lower belief in terms of how much they can change their behaviors. Medium income people have higher privacy concern, and they are actually the group who have better energy saving behaviors, because this is pretty normal. If you are the extreme end, high income don't care about the cost. Low income, they have very little range to change behaviors. So the best energy saving behavior group is middle income. The higher income has higher education, they are older, they have bigger homes, not surprising, they don't care about energy cost. So this article also published, I can send it to you guys if you are interested. Like this is similar then I just analyzed. But this is particular looking at willingness to raise thermostat setting in summer a little bit higher, like 2 to 3 degrees to save energy. So low income people, we found out that a medium income and low income has similar factors like attitude and their friends and family behaviors influence them. But low income people, their belief in ability to change is more important. And for middle income, their energy saving habit is more important. This is similar when I just analyzed the 3 different groups characteristics, but we plugging into specific behavior, the 2 to 3 degrees raising a temperature setting in summer. Higher income group, environmental concern is more important to them. So this is all kind of dig into more psychological factors. Yeah. Any questions so far? Only one person is responding. All right. Next, behavior change. So how can we change behaviors? So this is in 2009. This is a while ago. Researchers already come up with is home appliances behaviors. What kind of behaviors can reduce climate change? All right, driving behavior. I highlighted this red one, the most important one. Weather dilations, heating and cooling equipment, the appliances, and electric vehicle, and driving behavior, how much you drive, basically, whether you can carpool. So again, driving behaviors, home appliances, weatherization. This is our basically top 5 behaviors among all kind of behaviors to reduce carbon emissions. This is 2009 and it still apply today. So this slide shows the recent analysis on what kind of behaviors you can change to reduce carbon emission. and how much impact you can have. So again, electric vehicle has higher impact. Reduced air travel is important too. And also reduce food waste, eating a plant-rich diet, eating less meat, reduce green energy. So install solar, that kind of thing, renewable. So this is all the behavior we can take to reduce energy consumption and climate change. However, I personally believe that you cannot do everything. Otherwise, it's hard to live. Okay. For example, I cannot reduce my air travel. I can ride electric vehicle. I can eat vegetarian food. I just cannot reduce my air travel because I'm doing research. My family are not in US. So, I mean, everybody has a different situation, but as long as you do some actions, I think we can all reduce some kind of climate change. Anything else? Any questions?
So what does, like more specifically, what does offset carbon mean?
I'm not sure. This is actually from a company's analysis. Yeah, that's very good question. I'm not sure individual offset their full annual. I'm not sure.
I was just looking at the biggest impact ones, but yeah.
Yeah. I have to look at the report. Yeah. So this is sort of not surprising behavior. However, you know, for some people, it's just not feasible to do everything, right? All right, so I don't need to repeat this.
Excuse me. I have a question about kind of like the heating behaviors. Like you mentioned how like lower income houses, like even though they had more programmable thermostats, they still like only set it to one temperature, and like higher temperatures. Like, do you have any idea like why they do that? Like, it's probably like above the scope of the study and stuff, but
yeah, you know, that's why we need to do interviews, because according to data, we don't know. There's no data on this, but we can guess. I am thinking, first of all, okay, this is my thinking. Without any kind of incomes, most people don't know how much their energy cost. I actually don't know my monthly bill.
Yeah.
Does anybody know? Yeah.
I know.
So this is not like we getting gas, go to grocery store, we know how much. I can name each product in grocery price. I don't know, but I don't know my monthly bill because I don't look at them. And because I'm not the one who pays the bill. So I think it's not knowing how much this will consume the energy, the knowledge. Secondly is it could be, I'm thinking it could be their appliances are not good. So like it's harder to, you know, like this degree, not like programmable, you know, you can actually program better than just manually adjust or not paying attention. Like they leave the temperature, you know, all the time, higher all the time, or their company is high. This is worthwhile to study more.
Yeah. So you think it's mainly like an education or like knowledge?
Yes,
problem?
I think it's mainly knowledge, and of course this we got to dig in more. For example, it could be different in people who are colder weather or colder or hotter climates. So there's a lot of factors in there. We can only look at the aggregated level without looking at the individual level. Yeah, but this is worthwhile to study. That's why sometimes we have to do interviews.
Yeah, that would help probably.
Yeah. So, but this is a good question. Till today, I don't know why. Like even this programmable, this is huge difference, right?
Yeah.
I still don't know why they would do that. You would think if they have program, I mean, I can understand traditional thermostat, but I don't understand why they have programmable thermostat that still set one temperature and leave it all the time. Don't know. All right, any other questions? Are you guys getting tired? Anne, do you have anything? I have a lot of slides.
I have nothing to add. RETs, we'll just meet after when this talk is done. We had something scheduled at 2, but I'm recording this, so we'll just put it off for a little bit, and when this talk is done, we'll talk. It won't be that long anyway, so.
Yeah, I have more slides. Maybe I'll continue next time. But just a quick overview. Next time I can talk about message framing. What kind of message are most likely to encourage people saving energies. We did an experiment on energy saving versus long-term, short-term saving environment. This article, so I did not mean to put that in. Yeah. Another thing I could talk about in the future is the dual pool to adopt solar PV in China. This is a collaboration with the Chinese team. They have a very interesting finding. So I think I should stop here. And any other question or you guys want to find out more, I can talk about other things like COVID-19 stuff if you're interested. No questions?
Well, thank you. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you. And then everybody is going to have a private meeting with me and Dr. Scarlett this Friday. So prepare, not prepare question, but prepare what do you think that this week and then in the future for the project, because we are here to help you to make this process smooth. So, all right, anything else? And should I share this slide?
That'd be good.
Yeah, let me stop recording now.